I want to help you buy and sell homes with confidence. My name's Eric Kelly, and I'm a realtor serving the Philadelphia suburbs. Been in real estate for a while, but before real estate, I graduated from Georgetown Law and won multiple awards as a practicing lawyer. I want to bring my nearly a combined decade of real estate and legal experience to help you. I grew up in the Philly suburbs, I live here now, and I want it to be home for you. So let's get started making that happen. You want to relocate to the Philadelphia suburbs and you just don't know where to start. You don't know which town fits your lifestyle, which schools you should be looking at, the taxes, the commutes. You don't even know how to start the process because you're not living in the area. Well, good news. Not only did I grow up here, but I relocated here too. After nearly a decade as an attorney in Washington, D.C., my wife and I decided it was time to move back up, be close to our families, and start our own family. And I want to take all of the lessons we learned, all of the mistakes that we made, and help you relocate easily and confidently. Welcome back. Today, we are continuing our relocation series, this time focusing on the main line. Arguably the most notable, most recognizable, some say the most prestigious section of the Philadelphia suburbs. But there are what you typically think of when you think of the main line. There are nice houses, there are good, highly ranked schools, there's train access, easy commute into Philly, old stone homes, the whole deal. But the main line is not one homogeneous area in terms of buying a home. Not all the homes are going to be priced the same. Not all of the towns act the same. You can get almost any type of living, suburban-wise, on the main line. So how do we navigate this without just spraying and praying in terms of the homes that we're looking at, in terms of the homes that we are interested in? We have to do some personalization first. So what does that entail? We need to think about what your commute is going to look like. What is your price range going to be like? What kind of town or township do you want? Is quality of school a factor for you? There are highly ranked schools all over, but they vary based on whether you would like private or public, the kind of rankings you care about, the ratios you care about. All of that is going to go into your specific school decision. Beyond that, do you want walkability? A town like Ardmore, a town like Wayne, where you get a little more of that social life, restaurants, bars, places to shop, all of that. Do you want a purely like classic suburban feel, maybe something like Villanova, something like Hereford, or do you want a almost rural feel, like you're going into Chester County or up into parts of Bucks County, and maybe you should be looking a little bit further out, like in Malvern, Paoli, areas like that. So you can find almost any type of living you want on the main line, but you need to think about your commute, like I said, schools, like I said, what kind of town you want, how your lifestyle is going to fit into this. Are you commuting into Philly? Are you commuting to Wilmington, New York, DC, Trenton, Princeton, whatever it might be? All of these things are going to come into play when deciding which mainline town is right for you. So whether you're relocating from New York down, DC up, Philly out, Princeton over, whatever it might be, I promise there is a place for you, and this video is going to help you figure out what that place is if you are dead set on the main line. Like I said in my previous bigger relocating video, we're going to go through the main line like we are today, Chester County, Bucks County, the Jersey suburbs, so that you can figure out exactly where you want to be. Woo! So quickly, I'm going to go over what this guy's going to cover. Then I'm going to move quickly. I'm trying to keep these under like 20 minutes, but boy, if there's one thing I figured out in these videos is I can talk, dude. So what this guy's going to cover, we're going to do an overview of what the main line is, why it might be right for you, what you can find on the main line. We're going to talk about transportation. I'm going to focus on access to Philly. Most people commute into Philly, but I will touch a bit on getting to New York, getting to DC. I know for a long time I had to get to DC myself. I would say we are mainline adjacent. I think most people think that covers like the northwest edge of the main line. So that Paoli, Malvern, some people argue Chester Springs, some people argue Phoenixville. I think it ends at that Paoli, Malvern area. And we're going to go through, I'm going to talk about, I would say, the major towns. I'm not going to cover every single town. That's impossible, but the big ones, the townships. I'm going to give you little details about all of them. It'll be brief. I'm going to continue the series and do like a full episode or video on each specific town. So those will come. That'll give you 15, 20 minutes on the town rather than like two. Then we'll talk about schools, how to navigate that. I'm not here to give you what I would recommend for a school for you. I can talk about rankings, I can talk about objective metrics, but it's your decision to decide what school makes sense for you if you care at all. Maybe you don't care. But beyond just if you have kids that are going to go to school one day or are currently school age, it will affect resale liquidity. It's going to affect your long-term home value. So I always say you should consider it no matter what. And then we'll talk about taxes, monthly payments, things to do on the main line, things to do outside on the main line, and then quickly cover some frequently asked questions because if you're watching this video, you probably have them, so I might as well get ahead of it. But as always, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer that. And while we're on it, like, subscribe, do all the social media things. I have an Instagram, post a bunch of homes all over the main line, fun things to do, places to eat, all of that is on my Instagram and TikTok. I'm on social media, baby. I'm an influencer. So, quick overview specifically for relocators. If you're already looking at this video, you probably have a sense of what the main line is like. So the main line becomes appealing because it feels more established than newer markets. If you're looking for new builds, you're probably not going to find them on the main line. Where you can find them is just over into a little more west, into the western suburbs, Chester County, or up north in Bucks County. There's a lot of development going on there. The towns feel a little more layered. They have a little more character. The neighborhoods feel mature. And the commute into Philly is, frankly, about as easy as it gets in the Philly suburbs if you're staying in Pennsylvania. Very easy to get in from New Jersey as well. But that doesn't mean that the main line generally is the perfect fit for every buyer. At least not every town in the main line is going to fit you perfectly. So some of the trade-offs: higher versus lower prices, older housing stock, competitive inventory. It's going to be much harder competing for homes on the main line than if you just go 10 minutes further out into Chester County. There are parking limitations in a lot of these towns, smaller lots in certain neighborhoods. If you are looking to renovate, anything that's going to need any kind of permitting, anytime you're going to run into any zoning issues, these are going to be tougher in the main line. I'm working with a buyer right now who really wants to buy in Havertown. I guess probably like right on the border of Havertown. And they really just want to put a fence in. They have a couple dogs, they have a couple kids. They just want to make sure everyone's safe. And if they buy this house that they're looking at, they are going to be in for a zoning battle just to put in like a beautiful, nice white picket fence type thing in their front lawn, because that's the main line, baby. In addition to that, school boundaries are not always straightforward. Like the school might have the name of the town that you're living in, but you'll be districted into another school. So if schools are something that you care about, pay close attention to what district you're actually in. And then the big question that I hope this video will at least start giving you an answer to is, which version of the main line actually fits the way you want to live once you move to the Philly suburbs? Because you have all the options in the world for it. So let's talk about transportation quickly. So the main line got its name because it's along a historic rail corridor. There are a ton of stops along the main line, even as far up. I'm right in between Paoli and Phoenixville. We are 5 minutes from a train station. There are talks of putting in a train station in Phoenixville, which I bet some people will argue Phoenixville's now part of the main line if that train station goes in. But then again, they're putting one in Pottstown too. So is Pottstown now the end of the main line? I don't think people would be happy to hear that, at least not those Bryn Mawr people. So things to plan around when you're thinking about relocating to the main line. SEPTA, how close do you want to be to one of those regional rail stations in terms of your commute? If you can get there in like 2 minutes, it's really easy to get into Philly. And once you get into Philly, or if you just buy tickets at your local station, you can get to New York, you can get to DC. I used to have to do it for work all the time when I was a lawyer. My wife still has to do it now when she does travel. So That's going to increase demand in towns like Ardmore, Bryn Mawr, Paoli, Malvern, places that have these stations. Wayne, almost all of them have stations, but in the immediate vicinity of those SEPTA stations, Amtrak stations, you are going to get higher demand. Then in terms of roads, the big ones that you're going to see and hear a lot, the ones you'll be traveling on when you start looking at homes on the main line, Route 30, it's the central commercial, central town strip, essentially. So that's going to go through almost every town on the main line. If you start on the southeast portion of it and just follow it up all the way to the northwest portion, you will hit basically every mainline town. Being along that can connect you to shopping easier, town centers easier, some commutes get easier, but like any main thoroughfare, rush hour is going to be a challenge on it at times, not like some of the other transportation hubs I'm about to talk about, but things to consider. Now let's talk about some serious traffic. 76 or the Schuylkill, whatever you want to call it, 476 or the Blue Route, whichever you want to call it. Call it the Blue Route when you get up here. Half the time I say 476, people are like, you mean the Blue Route? So 76 is going to give you access to Philly. It's a nightmare. They have variable speed limits. They say it's for safety. I think it's really just to make the commute as terrible as possible. If you haven't seen that episode of Always Sunny where Dennis and Mac are living in the suburbs and Dennis has to commute in every day, boy, that is 76 in a nutshell. Then 476, major north-south movement. You're going to hit Plymouth Meeting, Conchie, Media, and Airport that way. People call it the Blue Route. You should call it the Blue Route. It's the Blue Route. But those are I would say, the two big highways, major highways that you're going to be dealing with the most. They're a nightmare, but welcome to living in the relatively close vicinity of any major metropolitan area. Hey guys, we'll jump right back in a second, but I want to offer you something absolutely free. So I have put together a complete relocation guide all the way from deciding we want to move to the Philadelphia suburbs through closing. And I want to give it to you so that your relocation process is simple. So I interviewed a ton of relocators, past clients, current clients, pulled from some personal experience in this on what made our relocation process easy. And I put over 100 hours into creating this guide just for you. So if you're interested, either check out the link in the description below or just DM me relocating and I will get that guide right over to you. All right, back to the video. And then you have Route 202. This is what I grew up on in the Philly suburbs and the period of time that my parents were living in Delaware. So this will be more relevant for the suburbs that are a little bit further west. So Paoli, Malvern, Berwyn, the Tredyffrin area. So if you're in like that Conestoga area towards King of Prussia and some of those corporate campuses, if that's where you're going to be commuting to, you might be dealing with 202 a little more. I would certainly less packed than like 76 than the Blue Route, but something to consider depending on where you are going to be traveling. So those are the big thoroughfares, the big means of transportation along the main line. If you are going to be commuting, access to these, figuring out, depending on where you are, which you'll be using, how you'll be using it, when you'll be using it, all will factor into how long your commute is, how manageable your commute is. I know for us, if we leave to go to Philly during rush hour, it's like an hour 15. If we leave at a normal time, it's like 35 minutes. So understanding that, understand when you're going to be commuting, all of that is going to factor into which towns make sense for you or which don't make sense for you. So, drum roll, please. Pretty good. I'm going to freak my dog out. Oopsie, sorry, Maggie. So I'm going to bang through these towns really quick just to give you a sense of what they're like. Like I said, we're going to be talking about these in much more depth in the future, but towns to look at, things to think about. So Ardmore, it's where Suburban Square is. It's a hub of shopping. It's a hub of dining. One of the most walkable towns on the main line, major retail value. Works really well if you want train access, if you want restaurant shopping, and a more active daily routine that's easily accessible. I think it's a good middle ground, especially if you do like the feeling of being in and around a city feeling the vibrance, feeling the energy. This is a good kind of midway point between pure, I'm driving everywhere suburbs and a city. Narberth, I would say a very charming, less talked about suburb along the main line. Small town experience. It really feels like a village, is how I would describe it. There's a walkable commercial center. You're really smack in the middle of Lower Merion Township. Um, if you want walkability and a tight knit feel, again, somewhat city like vibes, not in like the surroundings, but in terms of you're walking, you have access to your neighbors, stuff like that. Um, Wynwood and Marion, I believe, are what when people think of like that Eastern Main Line, these are the towns that they're thinking of. Um, Super easy access into Philly, driving or train. If you want a short commute, these are the areas I would look at. Some varied housing stock, a lot of older homes here, but you can also get some condos, some townhomes here. So if you truly just want to escape the hustle and bustle of the city, but you don't want to fully exit into the suburbs, these are a great place for you. Then Bala, eastern edge of the main line, great access to Philly, Manayunk, Center City. Um, Very different feel from the western suburbs like Wayne or Berwyn. Um, I would say that it's a commute younger driven town, young professionals. Then Haverford, maybe what I think maybe when people think about just mainline, I think they probably think Haverford, Bryn Mawr. Quiet, established, very residential feel, strong access to commute, rail, a lot of private schools in the area, good public schools ranking wise. If you want prestige, convenience, and a true residential quality, Haverford's a good place for you. Then Bryn Mawr, very similar. Both Bryn Mawr and Haverford are college towns. You have Haverford and Bryn Mawr there. I would say a more active town center in Bryn Mawr than Haverford. A good fit if you want like a true anchor of a place in your locale to go to for restaurants, for shopping, but also very easy commute still into Philly. And then Villanova, I would say this is probably peak luxury along the main line when you think of like the big ticket home prices, ultra high net worth individuals. A lot of them end up in Villanova, very desirable residential pockets, a lot of privacy. Technically another college town, but different feel than the two. Um, I would say look at it almost no matter what because it's going to give you a sense of like peak pricing. So then everywhere else, I mean, depending on what you're looking for, but and then Wayne, maybe my favorite town in the Philly suburbs. I would say the strongest for a complete like its own universe lifestyle. Great dining. You got to check out like Blue Elephant, maybe my favorite restaurant in the Philly suburbs. It has some train station, very easy commute access to the major roads that I've discussed. You have a walkable neighborhood. Wayne is one of those places where if you're in walking vicinity of the town, prices are going to be through the roof. As you get further out from the town center, they'll start coming down noticeably. It's a great place to live. Um, just depends what you're looking for. And then Devon and Berwyn, this is, I would say, the start of the western main line. Some say Villanova, Wayne. But this is more privacy. This is where like a lot of the horse farms are along the main line. I think it's beautiful out here. Highly attractive for schools if that's a priority for you. Residential quality space. Of more of a village feel than a town feel there. And then Paoli, very practical. You have the train station dead in the center of Paoli. I'm about to go drive through it to go pick up the kiddos. Um, Easy access to 30, easy access to 202, a lot of employment centers in the area, and pretty close to KOP too, King of Prussia, if that's where you're going to be commuting to. And then Malvern, very similar, more of an actual town than Paoli. Strong train access. I love it. Because I like the almost the Chester County feel with the mainline access and amenities. And so that Paoli, Devon, Berwyn, Malvern area is going to give you kind of that mix of both worlds there with a little bit more space, a little more bang for your buck. So townships, we talked about them. These are going to have a bigger impact on schools. But like I said earlier, confirmed school assignment because they're going to shift in and around them. So Lower Merion and Narberth. Um, Very strong for buyers who want proximity to Philly, mature neighborhoods, both public and private school options, train access, and like that classic mainline feel. That's this township. The next is Radnor. So that's Wayne, St. David's, Villanova, Bryn Mawr, Radnor. Very strong schools. People really choose it for the location. Mature neighborhoods, a lot of long-term demand, very strong resale liquidity here. It's often one of the first places that families relocating look to because of the highly ranked schools, because of the combination of access and pure suburban feel. And then you have Tredyffrin. This is Conestoga, if you've heard of Conestoga and not Tredyffrin. So very easy access to Paoli, Berwyn, Devon, Wayne, Route 202, King of Prussia. Again, often where families look, very easy access into Chester County as well. Some more corporate communities here, larger residential neighborhoods here. Demand can be intense, especially like when my wife and I were looking, we wanted that neighborhood feel. So we ended up looking a lot in this area, and we ended up in this area. And then Haverford, so parts of Haverford, Bryn Mawr, and Ardmore connect Haverford Township. A lot of access to parks, very good schools, slightly different tax and price profile than Lower Merion and Radnor. So you'll notice that as you start looking for homes, the price differences for what seem like the same bed, bath, square footage, you'll start seeing differences there. And then Upper Merion and King of Prussia, KOP, very strong commute access, retail convenience, and pretty good relative value there. If you care less about like saying I'm dead center of the main line and that whatever prestige you get with that, this is a great place to look. A lot of employment opportunities, a lot of shopping, highways, and value here. And the last one I'm going to talk about is Great Valley. So this is that Malvern and Great Valley area. Strong fit for buyers who want a little more of that western suburbs feel, that Chester County western mainline feel. Feels a little calmer, a little more spread out. Prices start coming down here. If you don't care about that traditional mainline, whatever you want to call it, prestige, bouginess, excellence, as those old money mainline people would say, this is a good place to look. So let's quickly talk about schools, payment, and schools taxes and monthly payments. Taxes here are going to be some of the higher ones in the Philly suburbs. A combination of funding good schools, a lot of money in the area, maintenance, everything that goes into it. You need to factor in the taxes that you're going to be dealing with in a specific location, plus focus on what am I getting school-wise, both in terms of if you care about school and for resale liquidity, for competition, for demand. All of that is going to go into what you're getting in terms of a monthly price. So factoring all that in, plus the elevated cost of home, plus the strong demand for this area, all of that needs to factor into the equation. So if you don't want to pay these premiums, if you don't want those elevated taxes, it might make sense to look a little bit further out. Maybe look in Chester County, which I'll talk about in the next video. So things to do and places to eat. I'll dive into this much more deeply when I get into the specific town videos. But I'm just going to hit some of the highlights across the main line that people talk about, the kind of anchor locations. So Suburban Square is a big one, located in Ardmore, as I said earlier, a major outdoor shopping center. People leave Philly to come visit it. It's a great place to go, and it has kind of everything you think of: good restaurants, food chains, an Apple store, all of that, and it's right next to the train station. I think people talk about Wayne a lot because very high quality restaurants, a major like T intersection that has almost everything you need, famous theater, a lot of good shopping, very walkable, everything you'd want. Um, and then you're right next to King of Prussia, major mall. So those are the big ones. I'm going to talk about like the various restaurants and the Bryn Mawr Film Institute when we get to that one. I'll talk about the village-like feel and some of the smaller amenities in places like Berwyn. I'll talk about the practical access, and I mean, I'll talk about Sasanos when we get to Paoli because boy, is that the best chicken Caesar wrap in the world. Um, I'll talk about every little thing we can think of in the videos to come, but it just doesn't make sense for me to list everything you can do in the main line in this video. And then parks, trails, and outdoor life. Again, I'll talk about the big ones. The Radnor Trail is probably the most famous trail you can get to. Chanticleer in Wayne is a beautiful set of gardens. I know Haverford, is Haverford an arboretum like SWAT is? I say arboretum. A tree sanctuary. Um, hey guys, we'll jump right back in a second, but first I want to offer you something for free. So I have spent over 75 hours putting together my comprehensive buying guide, and this is for first-time home buyers. This is for someone who is an experienced home buyer and just wants a little bit more information on how to navigate an appraisal gap. The guide covers everything. So I spoke to tons of home buyers, past clients, current clients, any agent that would talk to me about this so that I could give you as much information as possible. And the best part is you don't have to pay for a thing. So if you're interested in this guide, either check out the link in the description below or DM me buying and I will get it right over to you. All right, back to the video. Stoneleigh and Villanova for major landscape and garden access. Valley Forge Historic National Park. Up as you get into that Paoli area, the Great Valley, Malvern area. There is a ton to do outside. You are not going to be bored out of your mind on weekends after you leave the city. It's going to be the perfect dose of green that you want in your life. I know it was for me and my wife when we moved out here. So super quickly, just some frequent questions and answers, frequently asked questions and their answers. Is the mainline one market? We talked about this a bunch. No, it is a bunch of different markets, each with their own sub-markets. Some offer that classic mainline feel with a good commute, high-priced home values, very high-quality schools, older housing stock, all of that. But some are going to be much more suburban, almost rural, especially as you get up north and out west. And some are going to be almost like an extension of the city. So you can find anything you want along the main line, but choosing what you want is the key to narrowing down your search. What should I do first as a relocator? You need to figure out what your lifestyle is going to be like, the type of land that you want, and what your lifestyle is going to be like. All of that is going to very, very quickly narrow down where you should be looking. What is the biggest mistake relocators make on the main line? Not doing that narrowing work on the front end, because you're going to end up seeing a bunch of homes that are 4 beds, 3 baths, and they're going to all feel so unbelievably different. And you're every time you go there, you're going to have to figure out, well, where do I commute from in this one? Why should I be looking here? What are the schools like? Are we sure we're in that school district? So narrowing down early makes it so that you're getting exactly what you want as you see listings, as you go to showings, open houses, all of that. And it makes the whole process much easier, especially because you're doing this from somewhere else. You're relocating to the main line. You don't want to have to come here 8 weekends in a row figuring out which town you want when you can do all of that from the convenience of your couch. Which mainline towns are the best for walkability? Ardmore, Bryn Mawr, Wayne, and parts of Malvern. I would say those are clearly the best for walkability. I think the standouts are Ardmore and Wayne. Those are the two I would recommend if that's something you really want. Which mainline areas are best for commuting into Philly? So in terms of just pure time, Bala, Winwood, Ardmore, Haverford, Bryn Mawr are going to be the shortest commutes in. But those will change a little bit depending on your access to rail. I know if you live, let's say you're in Wayne, which is kind of like the next radius up, but if you live 2 minutes from the train station, it'll be actually quicker than if you live on like the edge of Bryn Mawr without easy access to a highway or the train station. So the right choice depends on whether you're driving, whether you're going to take the train, and where you're specifically located in each town. So which are the best for commuting to King of Prussia or other suburban offices? So I think Radnor, Wayne, Devon, and Berwyn are the best for this, with honorable mentions to Paoli and Malvern. Really easy access to 202 will get you right over to King of Prussia and a lot of other suburban corporate complexes, including those in Chester County. Is the main line better for buyers or sellers? Historically, as of right now, and for the foreseeable future, the main line is a very strong seller's market. Demand is always high. It's driven by the quality of homes, the neighborhood, the commute into Philly, and the highly ranked schools. This is both good and bad news for buyers. One, you're going to have to be dealing with a lot of demand, which means usually a lot of competition for homes that come up here, price increases, bidding wars, the whole deal. But on the other hand, very strong long-term home values, great resale liquidity. So once you're in, it is an absolute boost to you. It's just more of a battle than some other places to get in. And then the last one, what is the best way to evaluate mainline homes? So I say evaluate mainline homes through 5 lenses. One is location, and I mean the specific location of the home and how that fits in with what you want out of schools, what you want out of a commute, what you want out of access to towns. If you need to get to Philly, DC, Princeton, New York, whatever it might be, all of that goes into how you determine whether this location is good or not. School assignment's going to be a big one. Whether you care about schools or not, it's going to affect your long-term home value and your resale liquidity. Your commute, that gets into location, condition risk, especially important for older housing stock, not only from an appraisal standpoint, if there just aren't that many good comps, but with older housing stock, you might be more prone to flooding. You could be dealing with lead-based paint. All of that is going to go into condition risk. And then your daily lifestyle. Do you want a walkable community? Do you want to be driving everywhere? Do you want privacy? Do you want land? And does the home you're looking at fit what you want in terms of lifestyle? And then you look at the specific street quality. Is it loud? Is it noisy? Outdoor space, are you going to have to put money into it? Is it turnkey? Is it big renovations? Is it cosmetic? Any history of issues there? Systems, big ones, so like the roof, HVAC, plumbing, foundation, and then the resale profile if you don't plan to be here forever, because that is going to matter. So, what to take away? It depends on what you want. But we're going to dive in more deeply to each of the specific towns along the main line. 4 videos from now, that'll start. And you'll get a better sense of exactly what each one has to offer. But right now, based on what I just gave you, what you can find online, you can certainly start narrowing down what you're looking for and at least have those 2 or 3 towns that you think fit the lifestyle you're looking for best. So until next time, enjoy. Head on over to my Instagram. I'm on TikTok now because I'm one of the youth, and I show homes all the time across the main line. I post videos of food along the main line and little tricks and tips on how to buy there, how to sell there so you can get into the mind of a seller, and every little nitty-gritty thing that you need to figure out what portion of the main line is right for you. All right. I love you guys.